Ready? You know what I'm saying? Stick a little on this little corner right here, and I think I'm good.
Hallelujah. How's everybody doing? Everybody excited coming to the end of the year, all this type of stuff, where, you know, the world's new year. Everybody excited about it? Anybody excited about it? Say no. Well, today I wanted to talk to you guys about what would Christ do? What would Jesus do? What would Yeshua the Messiah do? As we're making plans for our life, we're making plans about what we're going to be doing and the new us that we're trying to become, the person that we want to become in God. I want to remind you that you guys are Christian. You are called to become Christ-like. Christ says something specific in the Word of God. He says, follow me. The key thing is that whatever he says, you have to put it into your mind that I need to do it. If he says it, I need to do it. If he says I can be it, I need to become it. As you live your day-to-day lives, as you walk, talk, intermingle with the rest of this world, the question I want to ask you guys is, are you doing the things that Jesus would? In order to get to the place that Christ is going to be, it's imperative that we start to do the things he did. We have 4 Gospels. Then we have a book called Acts of the Disciples. And you got all kind of other stuff written about him. Then even before any of that was written, before he even came down to the earth through Mary, what happened? We had the Old Testament, another 39 books that were written about things that he was going to be, the type of personality he was going to have. All of those things are key for us to learn to become like him. Today I pointed out 7 different aspects of Christ that I want to make sure that we implement into our day-to-day lives. So in this new year, this new day, tomorrow, we become more and more like him. Anybody want to learn about that?
Sure.
All right, let's get started. We're going to turn to Luke, the 2nd chapter. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to, I got this kind of mixed up. I'm sure I'll figure it out. First thing we're going to do, how it's falling up. So we block it. No, I think it is just this one. It's falling up.
Sorry about that, bro.
No, you're good. You see how God is? I need time to organize my papers and everything. Hey, I got it, right?
There you go. Should be fine. All right, there you go.
All right. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to turn to Luke, the 2nd chapter. In Luke, the 2nd chapter, we're going to start reading in verse 41. Before we start reading, I got one little thing to say. This is number 1. You're taking notes, I want you guys to get it. Be about your Father's business. Be about your Father's business. This is a new step in life, this new place that you're coming to in life. It is imperative that we start to be about our Father's business. Now, what does this mean? Does this mean that you can't have your other business going on? You can do whatever job, whatever you need to be doing. However, even in your business, it's imperative that you be about your Father's business at all times. Actually, all the other 6 things that we're going to talk about are all going to feed actually under this one category, because everything that Christ did is everything that we are called to do is to be about our Father's business. Can you imagine how successful you'll be if your mindset in your own business was to be about your Father's business? At your job, you're here to be about your Father's business. At your home, you're here to be about your Father's business. When you become about your father's business, it's no longer about your heritage, no longer about what the Nances did, no longer about what the Jacksons and the Jeffersons did. It's about what your father has called you to do. You know how many times I keep hearing, you know what, we don't do that in our family. Well, you know what, we were raised Baptist. Was Christ raised Baptist? I need to be about my father's business. I could have been stagnant in my thinking based upon what my parents did or what my parents' parents did. But I had to say to myself, you know what? It comes a time I have to be about my father's business first. Even in school, I had to be about my father's business first. And today, I want to encourage you guys to be about your father's business first. Let's go ahead and start reading in verse 41. Luke 2, verse 41.
Luke chapter 2, verse 41. Now his parents went to Jerusalem every year at the feast of the Passover. And when he was 12 years old, they went up to Jerusalem after the custom of the feast.
Now I want you to understand something. His parents were about his father's business. This shows that these people actually, because again, they were walking. They didn't have Corollas. They walked all the way to Jerusalem. When you do that, that means you're about somebody's business. They were doing this because God told them to. They were about their father's business. Therefore, it's very imperative for you as parents to be the people that show up. To say, you know what, I know my back is aching today, but I'm going to church. I'm going to the feast. I know I got to work, I'm calling off. I'm going to make plans to do my father's business because my father told me to. Coming to hear us, come and hang out is not an option. God tells you to do it, have a holy convocation, because he says so. So no matter how I feel, it's imperative for me to get myself up, because not only am I doing it for him, but I have other people that are watching me. Parents, be about your father's business so that your children may follow. Let's continue to read. What happens next?
Verse 43. And they have fulfilled the days as they returned, and a child Jesus tarried behind in Jerusalem. And Joseph and his mother knew not of it. But they, supposing he to have been in the company, went a day's journey, and they sought him among their kinsfolk and acquaintances. And when they found him not, they turned back again to Jerusalem seeking him. And it came to pass that after 3 days they found him in the temple, sitting in the midst of the doctors, both hearing them and asking them questions. And all that heard him were astonished at the understanding and answers. And when they saw him, they were amazed. And his mother said unto him, Son, why hast thou dealt thus with us? Behold, thy father and I have sought thee sorely. And he said unto them, How is it that ye sought me? Wist ye not that I must be about my father's business?
Hey, I'm going to just give you guys a background story for the kids that are here as well. Elijah, make sure you're paying attention. Hey, Michelle. His parents are going away. They come up, they walk all the way to this feast, right? Of course, not only just his parents went, but his family went. It was a family-oriented type of thing that was going on. So what ends up happening is they all leave, just as we all pack up, and we think that one of our children are with us, and we realize, no, they probably were auntie, no, they probably were cousin and them, they in such and such car. Next thing you know, they get all the way home, or close to home, and realize Yeshua ain't nowhere to be found. So they go all the way back 1 day's journey. I'm going to tell you, 1 day's worth of walking. I'm talking about, you talking about like, man, I can't find my son playing around. Like my daughter be trying to leave, she playing downstairs. I'm like, ugh. 1 day's worth of trying to find Yeshua. In Jerusalem on a week of feasting. It's crazy out there. That's like being at the Taste of Chicago. You don't know who your kid is. They finally get to the kid. Jesus says, they say, man, why would you deal with, man, why would you do me and your mama like that? Now you know we believe. He says, man, wait, you ain't know I was about my father's business? I mean, this is a kid. He was responding to his parents saying, you know what? You should have really known where I was going to be at because I'm about my father's business. And it's kind of crazy because I probably was like, what? My feet been hurting, my back hurt. But at the end of the day, I think that he was doing is letting them know, you know what, you've done a good job. But I'm going to take it from here. You've done really, really well. I got it. Now, I've been made to sit in front of the doctors. I've been made to sit in front of the lawyers. I've been made to listen and I've been made to teach. I am about my Father's business. I'm here. You might have missed it as a teenager. Kids, you got time to start being about your Father's business right now. You might have missed it in your 20s. You might have missed it in your 30s. But today you can actually start to become about your Father's business. That means when everybody's time, it's time for everybody else to go, you might have to stay a little bit longer. You know, when I was trying to become the #1 football player that played the game, I would run before the game. I would do the game, then I would run after the game. I used to run heels when everybody else was out partying because I was saying I was about the business of football. How much more should we be about our Father's business? The dictator of heaven and earth has called you to, and has enlisted you into his army to be about his business. The second thing that we're going to talk about today is going to be the second thing that we're going to get into, because once you're in your Father's business, there's not a whole lot of popularity at times, but one thing that you're going to immediately have to do is you're going to have to start to obey the commandments of God. You're going to have to walk a life of obedience once you're about his business. Your mindset starts to change because you know what? It's like you've enlisted as a soldier. Your mindset changes. You expect to hear, attention. You waiting on it. You waiting to pop on up. You know that you're about to get popped up in a crack of dawn. You know that you're about to run a couple of miles this morning. You know it because guess what? You enlisted as a soldier for the United States. How much more would you do for God? We seem to put God as a, second option. Yeah, I got everything else to do. A little bit of God. One more way to work. Yeah. There's become a watered down God in this United States of America that has been pushed to each and every one of us. And so much to the point that it seems like you have to follow this God because this is like the loving, best way. Everybody's, everybody can do whatever they want to. We can celebrate any way we want to. You got the holidays, who doesn't love all of these holidays? Forget the holy days. The holidays are upon us. I know they feel good. I'd be like, man, this feels it's nice. Seems like people are being nice outside. But I want you guys to understand something. That once we decide to become like Christ, sometimes we might not be able to show up where everybody else is showing up at. When you're about your Father's business, when you want to actually be like Christ, there are going to be some Insta snaps that you won't be able to take part in this year. There's going to be some things other people are doing, some family members are doing, some places everybody else is going, but I guarantee you that it's going to have to come, it's going to come a time and place that it's going to be a crossroad between you and the rest of the world, and you're going to have to say, you know what, I'm actually going to stay about my Father's business. My Father's not into that, therefore I'm not into it. Oh, how I wish Aaron would have had that mindset. When they were building the golden calf, and he says, I'm going to take these earrings and this other stuff, and we're going to do a festival unto Yahweh. Oh, I wish he was more like his brother Moses, who said, you know what, I'm not going to be like that. I'm going to be in the presence of God because I am about my Father's business. While everyone else was down there having a good old time. You don't think that for 1 second, just in a natural form, because this probably didn't happen, but in a natural sense, don't you think Moses could have at least looked down and said, man, they're having a good old time, and, it ain't too bad, God. He says, no. I'm about my Father's business. Therefore, I cannot conjoin myself with everything else that seemingly looks good. Because what looks good in our eyes may not be good in the sight of God. Just think about the holidays that's about to come up right now. Everybody just turn with me real quick to Jeremiah the 10th chapter. I want to show you guys very plainly that being like Christ meant that Christ couldn't do what everybody else was doing. You don't think the birthday of Christ was, or Christmas was celebrated way before Christ was born? Not only was it celebrated, but it was something that Christ decided he didn't want to take part in. When they're making your story, what are they going to say about you? What are they going to say about what you are called to do? Are you going to be one that's about your Father's business, or are you going to be one that's about the ways of this world? Let's go to Jeremiah the 10th chapter. We're going to start reading Jeremiah 10. We're going to start reading Jeremiah 10. We're going to start reading at verse 1.
Jeremiah 10 and verse 1. Hear ye the word which the Lord spake unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen.
He says, learn not the way of the heathen. So guess what? When this young boy that we just read that was in the temple, and he's talking to the doctors and the lawyers, the doctors of the word of God, and the lawyers, the lawgivers in the word of God, he's understanding these things. He gave himself up to something. He gave himself up to God's way of doing things. So in that, he's going to always go back and reference a couple things. Not only here, he's also going to reference Exodus, the 20th chapter, where he says, put no other gods before me. Those gods are pagan gods. He says, I don't even want you to be in the presence of these things. He understood those things. And so when he gets to these type of points, he understands this is certain things I can't go do because these are the ways of the heathen. You don't think that they didn't know the way? First of all, I want you to understand something. Israel was the most heathenistic, paganistic place in the world. They loved paganism. So for someone not to do it, they had to take a stance against it. There were celebrations going on that simply didn't line up to the word of God. And unless you started to reference what happened with with Moses and Aaron, you start to pick up the stuff that he said in Exodus, start to pick up the stuff about the prophets. Somebody says, I have to make a stance and be about my Father's business more so than I want to partake in fun. That's seemingly fun. Because it really wasn't. Go ahead and keep on reading. What happens next?
In verse 2 he says, thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven. For the heathen are dismayed at them.
You know what Saturnalia is all about? What Christmas is all about? It's about the celebration of the sun. It's been going on since the beginning of time.
S-U-N.
The S-U-N sun. What you say? I was just going to throw Jesus in it. Same way that Aaron did. I was just going to throw Yahweh's name in it. We're going to celebrate a pagan holiday and throw Christ's name into it. You know what Yahweh told Moses? To kill them all. Didn't he? He said, I'm going to start a whole new generation with you. Moses had to plead with them to not kill them all because they thought that it was nothing, a small thing to mix in other gods with the God of heaven and earth. Whose God are you going to be serving today? What would Jesus do through you? Who are you going to actually be? Are you going to put your Father's business first? This is a decision that Christ had to make even when he was upon this earth. Go ahead and keep on reading.
Verse 3. For the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest. The work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it move not.
Does this sound like anything you know about?
Deck the halls.
That's right. It's called Christmas. We can talk about something every season, but this time we just talk about Christmas. Any other thing that they deck their halls and the trees and it's to honor of a whole other sun god or the sign under heaven? No. It's a decision that has to be made when you decide you're truly going to follow God. When you truly stand up and you ask yourself and say, you know what, am I really going to be about my Father's business? Or am I going to not only learn, but am I going to give in to the way of the heathen? That's just the way the world does things. Christ chose not to. Because Jeremiah is way before Christ came on the scene. Way before Mary was even thought of. Way before. This stuff was happening since the beginning of the beginning. Turn down to verse 10. Oh, go down to verse 10. Read that. This is what he knew. This is what he did know.
But the Lord is a true God. He is the living God, an everlasting King. And in his wrath the earth shall tremble, and the nation shall not be able to abide his indignation.
See, that's the whole thing. We don't want to be found under this. We don't want to be found in the indignation of God. Therefore, we got to be about his business. We got to understand who the God that we're serving actually is. Is he a loving God, merciful God? Yes, he is. But does he come down with fire and indignation? Yes, he will. It's time for us to start to obtain a new us, to become a new people, to become a new me. New year, new me, new time, new me, new me, new me, new me. It's time for us to become new in God, to actually serve him the way he asked us to serve him. How many of us will dare to do so? How many of us will dare to put our Father's business first? Let's go to Matthew the 3rd chapter. We're going to start reading about that a little bit. Matthew the 3rd chapter. Let me show you guys some stuff in there, because it's about us becoming new. And this is what Jesus had to say. He wasn't doing everything that everybody else was. It wasn't about him getting the most hits or likes. It was about him doing the will of his Father. And in that, he did something that I encourage everybody to do if you haven't done it, but it's a way of separating and saying, you know what, I want to be washed clean of who I once was. Let's go to Matthew the 3rd chapter. We're going to start reading in verse 15. Go ahead and start reading.
Matthew chapter 3, verse 15. And Jesus answered, saying unto him, Suffer it to be so now, for thus it becometh us to fulfill all righteousness. Then he suffered him. And Jesus, when he was baptized, went up straightway out of the water. And lo, the heavens were opened unto him. And he showed the Spirit of God descending like a dove and lighting upon him. And lo, a voice from heaven saying, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased.
I want you guys to understand this. John wasn't a cool kid. John is cool to us, but he wasn't a cool kid. The party wasn't where John was. John was an outcast. The party was with King Herod in there. Oh, I want to go hang up under King Herod. I want to go hang up under the people. Oh, yeah. I heard about this foundation. I need to get involved. I need to be a part. I need to be a part. I need to be a part. But Christ decided he wanted to be a part of a wild man who was actually a true prophet of God. And decided, I'm going to follow the stuff that he's talking about because I know what he's saying is the truth. I'm going to hang out with this man that eats locusts and honeycomb. He's not eating the king's meat. And not only did he go, but he went to go get baptized. And I want you to, I'm going to reread something. It says, And Jesus answering unto him, saying, Suffer it to be so now, for thus it becometh us to fulfill all righteousness. He says, I am come to fulfill all righteousness. All of it. All right doing. Baptizing is like a form of that, right? Go in, the old you come in, go down, the new you comes up. It's all about becoming new. It's not about a popularity contest, or it's about doing the commandments and the will of God. I want to do all the right stuff today. I want to do all the right stuff this year. Because who are you trying to please more than God? I mean, I'm sure he had other stuff to do. I guarantee you somebody was blowing him up talking about go somewhere else. But when you're about your Father's business, there's nowhere else for you to go. There's nothing else for you to do but to be about his business. I'm going to show you why it says, and what does it say down here? I'm going to go down and it says, And lo, a voice from heaven saying, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Who else are you trying to be pleasing? Who else are you trying to be pleasing to? As a child of God, as somebody who wants to be like Christ, pleasing him should be the top priority we have. That's on the top of our agenda each day. God, I want to make sure I'm pleasing unto you. God, I know I got this going on, but I want to make sure I'm pleasing unto you. If you kept that mindset on all of your decisions, do you imagine how much further you would be as a man or a woman of God? Today, God, or this decision, I know I just want to be pleasing. Is what I'm doing right now about to be pleasing unto you? I know somebody just threw some stuff in my back that hurts, but guess what? Is what I'm about to do or say back pleasing to you? The way that I'm about to talk to this other individual, is that pleasing to you? The way I'm treating this other individual, is that pleasing to you? Christ, he says, man, my son, I'm well pleased. Anybody want to be well pleasing unto God today?
Yes, sir.
Well, God looks up to us and say, man, Devin, well pleased. Good job. Good job. Good job, Couture. Good job. Don't you want to hear that? Good job, man. Good job. Good job, Korea. Good job. That's what we strive for. Good job from our God. I'd rather hear a good job from him and a forget you from everybody else 1,000 times over. Why is God so pleased with Christ? Why is God so pleased with him? Let's go to John 8, verse 29. I want you guys to understand the progress here with Christ and what he's doing and the type of person he was. So that when you start to ask yourself, what would Christ do? What would Jesus do? What would our Messiah do? I want you to know beyond a shadow of a doubt, this is what he would do. He's going to be about his Father's business. And even if it means I got to skip out on this Christmas party, I might not have to bring this tree into my house. I'm not going to go do the things that everybody else is doing. I got to renew myself. I got to cleanse myself. I got to baptize myself. I got to do all things that are righteous because I want to be pleasing unto my God. If it takes all of that, then guess what? I'm going to do it. John 8:29. Go ahead and read it.
John chapter 8 and verse 29. And he that sent me is with me. The Father hath not left me alone, for I do always those things that please him.
Look what he says. He says, and he that sent me is with me. The Father sent you. You are sent to by the Father. He says, man, guess what? He who sent me is with me. The Father hath not left me alone, for I do always those things that please him. That's why he's so pleased with him, because he's always doing stuff that pleases him. He's thinking to himself, is this pleasing to my God? Can you imagine having this type of fellowship with God simply by doing things that please him? My daughter at college said, Daddy, can you take me to the mall? I said, what do you need at the mall? She says, I need some new clothes. I said, yeah, baby, whatever you want. You know why? Because when she thinks I'm hungry, she says, Daddy, you're hungry. Are you hungry? I said, she's thinking of ways to please her father. So as a father, I'm thinking of ways to answer her request. I'm thinking, okay, I might not have enough money for him, but guess what? I'm gonna move this around, I'm gonna do this. I'm figuring stuff out on her behalf because she thinks about pleasing her father. I'm a natural man. I'm just a natural dad. I'm no good. Can you imagine the type of relationship or the type of things that God is looking to do when you actually say to yourself, I know I'm a young Josiah, but today I'm going to do everything that pleases my God. It's going to get his attention. She might not even purposely be like, well, it's cold outside. Daddy, you got a hat on? Oh, yeah. I brought a hat for you. I saw it in the house. She might not be thinking about it. When you decide, I know it's cold outside, but I'm showing up. God, you want me to be at a Sabbath class? I'm going to get there. I'm going to show up. I'm going to learn. I know I'm tired, but I'm going to get up and I'm going to just do a little 5-minute meditation to you, dedication prayer to you. I know it might not seem like nothing, but I'm going to humble myself and I'm going to turn the other cheek when it don't seem convenient to do so. I know everybody's kicking it on Friday night, but guess what, God? I'm going to sit on down in the house today because I just want to spend time with you. Then God is going to be like, man, hey, Sheila. God going to be like, whoa. What did you ask for again? Yeah. Move all heaven and earth to make it happen. Who wants to trade that life in? Is there anyone that wants to trade a life with God in? Be pleasing unto God. Because then God, when he's well pleased with you, he'll be pleasing back unto you. Let's go to Matthew the 14th chapter. We're going to start reading at verse 23. The third thing that we're going to be talking about, the third aspect, we talked about obedience and not being in a popularity contest, but being about our Father's business. And now we're going to talk about the third thing. The third thing that Christ did that we want to become more like him in is spending time with his Father. Spending time is the definition or a defining point in a relationship. You have to spend time with one another. There's no boyfriend and girlfriend that exists off of no time spent. I don't care if it's time on the phone, now it's time on text messages, time on Snapchat. I wonder how these new millennial relationships are going to go. Will you marry me? Yes. You text it back to me. This is getting married on Snapchat. So, FaceTime. You over there, I'm over there. We got a pastor over here. We're going to do a three-way on Hangout. However, it's important for us to spend time with our God. When you decide that you're going to start to become about your Father's business, you're going to start spending time with God. Matthew, the 14th chapter, verse 23.
Matthew 14, verse 23. And when he had sent the multitude away, he went unto a mountain apart to pray. And when the evening was come, he was there alone. And the ship was now in the midst of the sea, tossed with waves.
So what happens is a lot of times you're going to see, matter of fact, let's go to Luke the 5th chapter real quick. Luke the 5th chapter, verse 16, and then I'm going to talk about it all. Luke 5, verse 16. Whenever you get there, go ahead and read.
Luke chapter 5 and verse 16. And he withdrew himself into the wilderness and prayed.
So let's just explain something to you. Even in the NIV version, it says, as he always did, withdrew himself to the wilderness and prayed. I'm going to explain something to you. In building a relationship with God, your Father, being about his business, just ask yourself, what would Jesus do? This is what he does. Don't ever think you already arrived. Can you imagine Christ could have easily said, hey, I'm already God's boy. I've already heard God's voice. I've been there. I'm cold. I done raised the dead, lay hands on the sick. They recovered, hoping with leprosy, don't have it no more. He could have easily gotten on his throne, on his high and mighty stuff. But he constantly built on the relationship that he had. Who wants to get date and constantly date and then get married and then don't date no more? Any woman want to do that? Who want to constantly get flowers and flowers and flowers and flowers, then get married and don't get another flower? Just because God has said yes to you and you have said yes back to God, guess what? You still have to build on that relationship. Don't be foolish. There is no such thing as a relationship with God outside of time being spent with God. Time in his word, time in his face, time in his hearing his voice, as his sheep will hear his voice. Time. And I'm going to let you know, purposed time with God. Everybody else going this way, Christ said, I'm going to go this way. You know why he keeps talking about the wilderness? Nobody's in the wilderness. Probably John was hanging out there under some bush somewhere, but he was going to his other bush over here. You have to spend time with God. This new year, this new you, this new day, God time. What would Jesus do? This is what he did. Can we get the same results that Jesus did? Better results. Not only are you spending time with God, but he's spending time with God on your behalf. Oh, you're in a win-win situation when you get on your knees. but you got to get on your knees. Purposely. This is my time with God. Create a time. Each and every one of you, create a time. Create a time. I don't care how long it is. Create a time. Because when you start to create a time, guess what your children are going to start doing? Create a time. Well, what about, what is my God time? You create time for the gym. How much time are you creating for God? You create time for money. You know how much time you create for money in a day? Tony be like, hey, I want to work 16 hours. I need the money. Give me 16 hours. But can we spend 16 minutes with God? I was going through some stuff, and I was saying, God, I need a strategy for this and a strategy for that, and a marketing strategy for this and this. And I said, it just hit me. I said, well, why don't I just ask you? I don't even want to go through all this strategy, God. Can you just do this for me? Hopefully the answer is yes. But that's what happens when you spend a time with God. You know, just ask. Because he's used to hearing your voice. I'm not saying don't use God with like a spare tire. Well, I'm not saying, don't use him if you has a flat and he's a spare tire, call upon him. But the truth of the matter is, use him while you still got all four wheels going. Don't always use him and call upon him while you're in distress. Call upon him while you're in distress. But call upon him when you're not in distress, when everything's going just perfect. When you got a tank full of gas. Thank you, God. And guess what? I done ran out. God, I need your help. He's there. Let God be used to hearing your voice in 2018. And this new you, the next 18 minutes. Let God be used to hearing your voice. Because that's what he did. The Father was used to hearing his voice. Let's build upon this. This is going to Matthew, the 4th chapter. We're going to start reading verse 1. Matthew 4, we're going to start reading verse 1.
Matthew chapter 4, verse 1. Then was Jesus led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterward hungry.
How much did he fast? 40 days and 40 nights. He's talking about fasting. This is a regular human. I want you to understand something. He was still 100% man. 100% God, 100% man. He was still man. First of all, he wasn't the only one that did this. Look about Moses. Moses fasted 40 days and 40 nights. How much are we going to, can we fast 4 minutes, 4 nights in a row? Can you fast 40 minutes? Can you fast 4 nights? Can you fast 4 days? We have someone that we are looking up to. We got to get there. So guess what? If we know that, man, 40 days and 40 nights is what these people who I want to be like did, man, I got to start somewhere. I got to start fasting from something, from sometimes. I got to start fasting from food and water at least some part of the day, some part of my week. I don't got to just wait on the feast day to come fast for no food and water. I should be practicing up to that day. Well, God, tonight, I'm not going to be eating nothing. I'm just going to go through dinner. I'm just going to skip dinner. I'm going to skip one meal today. For you, I want to spend time with you. When I was about to intake with food, let me intake with knowledge today. Let me turn on a Bible app and listen to the Bible and just sit there. Let me listen to your word, or let me get on my knees. Let me get a pen and paper. Let me hear what you have to say to me. Let me write down, let me pray for some other people today. Let me pray for some families who don't have what I have. You think that ain't going to please God? He's going to be like, yeah. I like that. I like that. Because guess what? You keep living life doing the same things over and over again, guess what results you're going to get? The same ones. Anybody need new results in 2018? I mean, I need new, first of all, I can't even wait for 2018. I need new results now. So guess what I'm going to have to start doing today? Changing. I don't like my weight, I got to change. Change what? Change what I'm eating. Change my activities. I don't like my income. I got to do more things to gain more money. I don't like my time with God, my relationship with God. I need to cut off everything else that is not like God and spend more time with God. I don't like the relationship with my wife. I got to spend more time to date my wife. There's an answer for your issue. Who's big and bad enough to actually do it?
He said the baton.
That's right. You got to pass the baton. God, you know what? Here, I've done all I can do. I can't really do this. I know I wrote down a bunch of stuff in 2017. I don't even remember what they was. I can't do none of this. God, here, please help. Oh, I was waiting on you to help. I was waiting on you to wake me up. Yeah, whatever you need, I got you. That happens when you start to build that relationship. Let's keep on reading a little bit because we're going to talk about the next thing. Number 4 is knowing your timing. Knowing your timing. Number 4 is going to be knowing your timing. Christ knew his timing. He knew his timing. And guess what? He didn't always know it. I'm going to show you an example. He didn't always know. But he knew his timing for the most part. After his mother got him started, he knew his timing. Satan was trying to send him off. Go ahead and read what Satan was trying to do to him.
So in verse 2 said he would fast for 40 days and 40 nights. But then in verse 3 it says, and when a tempter came to him, he said, if thou be the Son of God, command that these stones be made bread. But he answered and said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of God.
I'm going to explain something to you. Christ could have made that bread that stone turn into bread. He done took 2 fish and 5 loaves and fed 5,000 people. He knows how to do some stuff. He done made water come from a rock. He knows how to do the unordinary. See, ordinary just won't do. Ordinary did not just do at Christ's time. But I'm going to tell you something. He knew his timing. Yeah, I can do all that, but it's not my time to do it. Satan's job, and see what Satan is doing, is to try to tempt you to go off God's timing. Remember we talked about patience a couple weeks ago? It said, I'm going to be in patience, has its perfect work, you be complete, want nothing. In that, and in the relationship with God, you know your timing. See, once he fasted 40 days and 40 nights and spent 40 days and 40 nights with God, he knew his timing. You don't know your timing when you're outside of God. When you're outside of God's presence, you don't know what God is telling you to do. You don't know when to go and when not to go. You're going off of the same thing that you used to going off of, and that's you. And guess where that's going to go? Nowhere. You don't know everything. You don't know who's about to walk past this window right now. Well, you don't have any idea. But he knows. So if I build that relationship with him, then it gives me timing. I know my timing. I know how to listen when it's time to listen, and I know how to shut up when it's time to shut up. I know how to go when it's time to go, and I know how to stop when it's time to stop. I know how to bid when it's time to bid, and I don't know when not to bid. When it's time not to bid. There was something happened. I could have made like $13,000. God, he showed me a dream. He said, hey, I seen something. I'm not going to tell you about it, but something like stock-wise skyrocketed, right? And I was just going to put $300 into it because I was going to do it, and then I had a dream like, no, do this and then do it like this. And if I would have done what he told me to do the day he told me to do it, I looked up the other day, I would have made like $13,000. I didn't even do it. Actually, hold on. I tried to do it, and it didn't work the first time, and I said, forget it. I want to show you a lesson. I should have kept trying because I knew I knew it was time. But Satan probably distracted me with something else. Satan's job is to steal, kill, and destroy from you. 2018, next 18 minutes, that's over. But God saying, I'm going to finish till it's done. I don't care if I got to walk all the way to Jerusalem to get it done. I got to get it done. Because that's what they did. The people who are trying to be like that man, that's what he did. Go ahead, keep on reading what happens.
In verse 5, Then the devil taketh him up to the holy city, and setteth him on a pinnacle of the temple, and said unto him, If thou be the Son of God, cast thyself down, for it is written, He shall give his angels charge concerning thee, and their hands shall they bear thee up, lest at any time thou dash thy foot against a stone. Jesus said unto him, It is written, Thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. And the devil taketh him up into an exceeding high mountain, and showed him all the kingdoms of the world, and the glory of them, and said unto him, All these things I will give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me. Then said Jesus unto him, Get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, Thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve.
I want to ask you a question. Do you really think that if Jesus jumped, that the angels wouldn't have caught him? They would have. Do you think the world is not already about to be his? It's all about timing. Satan is trying to disrupt your timing. 2018, next 18 minutes, next 18 seconds, know your timing. God has called you to do some great stuff. Just know your timing. Let's talk about the marriage of Canaan. I think we're in John, the 2nd chapter.
John 2nd chapter.
Matthew or John. I don't know which one. I think it's John. Know your timing. Don't always try to go after the quick hit. Always understand seed, time, and harvest, and the importance of seed, time, and harvest. Just because you're so used to sowing seed don't mean that, timing ain't gonna come. And so next thing you know, you're so used to waiting around that you don't even know when your harvest is. You done slept and folded your hands. Next thing you know, your harvest is already there. It's outside, and guess what? It's getting ate up. It's over. The harvest is gone. Because you're just sitting around not knowing your timing. God wants you to know your timing. Go ahead and read. Are you there with the wedding? Is that what I'm talking about? Yeah, that's it.
Verse 1?
Yeah, start at verse 1.
St. John chapter 2 and verse 1. And the third there was a marriage in Canaan of Galilee. And the mother of Jesus was there.
So this is a marriage going on. There was marriages used to last a long time. So this is the third day of the marriage. And so the wine was about to be gone, right? And so we all know that Jesus is known for all of these miracles, correct? At this point in time, Jesus had not done any public miracles at least. So really, they said this is his first recorded miracle that ever happened. But let's see what Christ says about it. I want you to understand the other part of this whole thing. Go ahead and keep on reading.
At verse 2, both Jesus was called and his disciples to the marriage. And when they wanted wine, the mother of Jesus said unto him, They have no wine.
So Jesus' mother, I want you to understand something. Jesus' mother comes to Christ, Yeshua the Messiah, and says, they don't have no wine. As if this is his problem. It's not. You know what I mean? So she says, brother, they ain't got no wine. Or son, they have no wine. And so what happens next?
Jesus said unto her, Woman, what have I to do with thee? My hour is not yet come.
So he knows that she's telling him, just make up some wine. Because she knows what's in her son.
She knows power.
She knows the power that is within him. But he tells her specifically, my time has not yet come. Now watch this. I want you to understand. Now you might think, oh, I thought that he's supposed to know everything and all this stuff. He's thinking to himself that my time has not yet come. But sometimes he's smart enough, even being the Son of God, to listen to his mother. To say, you know what? It might be something you see that I didn't see, that I might not have known, even though I've been in the presence of God. I'm going to listen to what my mother is telling me because it's something that she knows that I might not. So what does he say next?
In verse 5, his mother said unto the servant, Whatsoever he saith unto you, do it.
She didn't even pay attention to his request, to his lack of requesting lack of him honoring her request. She didn't even pay attention to it. He tells her, he says, my hour is not yet come. Basically, what she told him is, boy, I'm your mother. I know when your hour is come. If he would have listened to what he thought of himself. See, even being the child and the son of God, you have to start to listen to others that are around you sometimes. Sometimes you may not know when your time is coming. But it might take somebody else to say, you know what? I've been praying for you. As she's been praying for this boy her whole life. So you know what? It's show time. Kiana, it's time for that idea. It's time to go forth. You're like, no, it's not my time yet. No, it's time. Surround yourself with people that can even speak into your life like that. What happens is, she said, man, it's time. She walks all the way. She just said, hey, whatever he tell you to do it. Because guess what? She knew it was his time. That was his first recorded miracle based upon what his mother saw inside of himself. It was something that he didn't even see within himself. There's a lot we can learn from these scriptures and take it to our own life. Let's go down to John, the 6th chapter. We're going to go to John 6. We're going to John 6, and we're going to start reading. Matter of fact, we're going to skip John 6. Let's go down to Luke, the 11th chapter. We're going to go to Luke, the 11th chapter. The next thing that we're going to learn about, or talk about as far as what would Jesus do, is number 5, which is be bold. It's time for us to step into a bold state as men and women of God. It's time for us to be bold. Do you know that the world has watered down Christ so much that you would think that he wasn't bold? That he just went with the status quo? He didn't. He was against it all. If I ask myself, what would Jesus do? I have to say to myself, and if I want to live this life like Jesus did, if I want to actually honor God the way and be about my Father's business the way he was, it takes a time that you're going to have to step out of your comfort zone and speak up for things that you believe in. It might not be comfortable, but it's going to be worth it. We're going to start reading in Luke, the 11th chapter. We're going to go to Luke 11, and we're going to start reading in verse 40. I want to explain something to you as we're about to read. The people he's talking to, the Pharisees and the Sadducees and all of these people, that was the church. This is not just like the church. This is like the head of the church. The heads of the church. This is not only the heads of the church, but they were the government of that land. They were being governed by the Romans, but as far as Jerusalem went, they ran. They say murder, you murder. They say jail, jail. It's not just like church is today. He's speaking to the upper echelon of society, and he's letting them know that your way is not particularly the way into the kingdom of heaven. I speak to myself because it's time for me even to become more bolder as a man that is after God's own heart. I used to come up with plans and say, you know what, me and my guys, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go into this church, and this is what we're going to go into there, and we're going to talk to the pastor, and we got to lay it down because our people's lives are at stake. And guess what? If they don't accept it, we got to wash our hands and keep on moving, but at least we tried. Then we're going to go somewhere else. And then go somewhere else, and then go somewhere else. Until somebody decides to lead the people according to the way of the Word of God. Because people's lives are at stake. Christ decided when he came upon this earth, he was going to be bold because he knew that lives were at stake. Listen to what he starts telling them. We're going to start reading at verse 40.
Luke chapter 11, verse 40.
Uh-huh.
Ye fools, did not he that made that which is without make that which is within also? But rather give alms of such things as ye have, and behold, all things are clean unto you. But woe unto you, Pharisees, for ye tithe mint, rue, and all manner of herbs, and pass over judgment and the love of God. These ought ye to have done, and not leave the other undone.
I want you to understand the Samaritan that he talked to, the Gentiles, he said that they're going to be after me and all this other type of stuff. This is risk. It's risk to talk to the Pharisees and Sadducees and call them fools. You can't go up into them calling them people fools. He was bold. He risked his life so that someone was, because he knew people were listening, he was trying to save other people's lives by risking his own over and over and over again. He went to go teach for a whole week down there with the Samaritans. But he's supposed to talk to them people. They're like, Master, what you doing even talking to them? You don't fellowship with the Samaritans. He's risking his life, healing the people on the Sabbath day. He wasn't supposed to be healing people on the Sabbath day. He risked it. Why? Because the people needed to be saved. Not only did they need to be saved, but he wanted to show others the way of God, the true way of God. That love was important, the most important thing in God. He wanted to show them what it was all about. So he risked his life for it. In 2018, the next 18 seconds, the next 18 minutes, will you become bold for the one that you're living for? Being bold is being about your Father's business. When you speak out against paganism, when you speak out against whoredom and everything else that's going on in this world, when you speak out against the things that God wants you to speak out against, will you or won't you? Will you represent God the way you want him to represent you? Hopefully the answer is yes. Let's skip all the way down to the end. Verse, first of all, keep reading this thing. I mean, you don't got to keep reading it now, but it's your own thing. Keep on reading, because he goes all the way and talking about you done killed the prophets, you done did this. And he already knew what was going to happen. And then what happens, read verse 53 and 54.
And as he said these things unto them, the scribes and the Pharisees began to urge him vehemently and provoke him to speak of many things.
That word vehemently just means, I mean, you can just tell that's like a word that's really big, like vehemently. You know, like that's like, they're really angry. Go ahead.
Laying wait for him and seeking to catch him sometimes something out of his mouth that they might accuse him.
So he knew that the things that he was saying was going to lead to death. But he knew that it would lead to life for those that were around him listening. Be bold. The sixth thing that we're going to talk about, and we got one more after this, and we're going to start wrapping this on up, is know who you are. Christ knew who he was. Do you know who you are? Do you know that God got a mission for you the same way he had a mission for Christ? You know you're called to do certain things the same way that Christ is called to do certain things? As a kid, I just wanted to know, God, what am I here for? My mother said, son, I ain't got no money to send you right now, but I do got this. I got James, the first chapter. Read the book of James. And in the book of James, I realized that if I lacked wisdom, God would give it to me. And I realized that through relationship with God, I would get it. Couldn't just get it, I can't just get into that man's house over there and buzz his buzzer and talk about I'm here. Can I come in here and holler at you? If I build a relationship with that man outside of his home, I can come into his home, and in the home I can get all the things and understanding that I needed. So I started to fast, and I started to pray. And I started to pray for 3 minutes, and then it was 5 minutes, and then it was 15 minutes, and then it was an hour, and then it was 2 hours. Then it was 2.5 hours. I wanted to get with God as much as I possibly can. I went to fasting 1 day at a time. Then it was 2 days at a time. Then I fast 3 days at a time. Why? Because I just wanted to get answers. I wanted to get closer. I wanted to be about his business. I needed to know that I am here for a purpose, and what do I need to be doing upon this earth. I wanted to be in his perfect timing, so that when this crossed to this cross, and this happened, and I would be right in the right spot at the right time, because not only did I, but my family depended on it. So I encourage each and every one of you guys to start to know why you're here. Christ says this very plainly, John 6, 3 and 5. We're going to 35, we're going to read John 6, verse 33. Christ knew who he was. And if I want to be like Jesus, guess what? I'm going to know who I am. What will Jesus do? Know who you are. What does it say? 6:33. He says who? What does it say?
Chapter 6, verse 33. For the bread of God is he which cometh down from heaven and giveth life unto the world.
Skip to verse 35.
And verse 35, and Jesus said unto them, I am the bread of life. He that cometh to me shall never hunger, and he that believeth on me shall never thirst. But I say unto you, that ye also have seen me and believe not. All that the Father giveth me shall come to me, and he that cometh to me I will in no wise cast out. For I came down from heaven, not to do my own will, but the will of him that sent me.
I mean, that's bold. He knows who he is. I didn't come down here to do my own will. I came down here to do the will of my Father. Let me tell you, that's for everybody. You thought you came down here for you? You came down here for him. You came down here, he said, let me try another one. Let's have another one born. Give me a Rashid over here. Give me an Anaya, give me an Ali over here. Who's going to speak for me? Who's going to allow me to come through them and use my voice through them? Who is going to lead others into my kingdom? Who can I use? Who is it? He says, I looked across the line, the whole world, he didn't see nobody righteous. But if he looks today, can he see you? Oh man, yeah, it's my guy right there. We gonna go through him. Oh, that's a Moses right there. Yeah, that's a Jesus right there. I need to utilize them because they get it. They get it. They know what they're here for. Down to the end, he says, man, I am the living bread which came down from heaven. If any man eat of this bread, he shall live forever. And the bread that I give is my flesh, which I give for the life of the world. This man knew what his calling was. He knew what he was called to do. I want you guys to know what you're called to do as well. Therefore, number 6 was know who you are. The last but not least, last thing that we're going to talk about, we talked about, number 1 was being about your father's business. And number 2 is don't care about the popularity, obey the commandments of God. Number 3 was spend time with God. Number 4, know your time. And number 5, be bold. Number 6, know who you are. And the last thing I'm going to tell you guys is be humble. Christ knowing all of this, he know he's the bread of life. He know that can't nobody get into the kingdom except for him. He is big stuff. I ain't going to lie to you. But he never lived like he was. He never walked around and acted like he was just everybody. He used to heal people and be like, don't tell nobody I did this. He was humble. Who do you think you are when you can't be humble? Because you got some money? Because you got a following? Because you know a little bit of this book. Who do you think you are? We should all be nice to one another. Because Christ was nice to everybody. Even the Pharisees and Sadducees, he didn't chew out. He didn't took Nicodemus to the back row with him, you know what I'm saying? He didn't try to save them all. He loved them all. He was checking them out of love. He loved everybody, man. He loved everybody. One thing that I'm really got to read, I'm going to tell you guys, John 13 and 13. He washed his disciples' feet. Can you imagine? God of heaven and earth in this world washing regular people's feet? First of all, washing feet. Let's think about it. But for the creator of all heaven and earth to be so humble that he's willing to wash man's feet. That's what I want to be like. I don't want to hear, you know what, you nice because you were born in this. No, I'm nice because Christ is nice. I want to be like him. Does anybody else want to be like him? I want to be a Christian for real. Therefore, when it comes to me to do other stuff and the things that this world is doing, I don't want to do them. You know why? I want to be about my Father's business. I love you guys, and I hope you guys want to be about his Father's business, their Father's business too. I love you guys. God bless you. Thank you. 7 things. What would Jesus do? Hope you guys take that, live with it, meditate on it. Implement it. Implementation is what Satan tries to stop us from more than anything else. Hearing the word is good, but then he's going to immediately try to tear the word down. Without implementation, it's worthless. Knowledge without implementation is worthless. Knowledge without implementation is worthless. Find time to implement the word today. I love you guys. Thank you.